Good afternoon. It is 4 p.m. on Monday, January 10th. I'm going to call to order the Ottawa City Commission study session for this afternoon. Do we have individuals who have registered for public comment?
We have none today.
Okay. We will move on to items to be placed on the regular City Commission agenda, which include minutes from the December 27th meeting and the January 5th meeting. Commissioners, did you have a chance to review those?
Yes.
The only correction that I would make is that on the December 27th meeting, Senator Moran actually visited Corner Market, and then he also toured Corner Market and the second floor residence.
Okay.
So I just didn't want the minutes to note that there's a second floor on Corner Market and somebody be thinking that they're missing out on some kind of amazing stuff going on
Good point.
in Corner Market on the second
Absolutely.
floor. So.
I'll make that correction.
Yes. Is there any other corrections or changes that need to be noted on the minutes? Is it okay to move those onto the agenda?
No.
We shall do so. That moves us on to item 1 on our agenda, which is a proclamation recognizing January 17th, 2022 as Dr. Martin Luther King Day. And we have Richard here, but I think that I just handed you the proclamation back. And I'm going to read the proclamation, but I'm going to get it back because I signed it and then I gave it away. Sorry, Richard. The proclamation reads as follows. Whereas on October 19th, 1983, the U.S. Congress passed legislation making the third Monday of every January, beginning in 1986, the day America would honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. with a national holiday. And whereas on January 16, 2002, the Ottawa City Commission made the King holiday an official city holiday. And whereas this is the first national holiday to honor an individual Black American. And whereas the King holiday affords us all an opportunity to reflect upon the past while seeking hope, determination, and an opportunity to act upon the promise of the future. And now, therefore, the governing body of the City of Ottawa, Kansas, does hereby proclaim Monday, January 17th, 2022, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and reminds all citizens to remember the legacy of Dr. King, remember that it lives in each of us, and that we are responsible for promoting, teaching, and living the American dream. Signed this the 10th day of January 2022 by the Mayor, Sarah Kaler. Mr. Jackson, you are here with us today virtually, but so glad that you are able to join us. What would you like to say about this proclamation and about events that will be happening in honor of Dr. Martin Luther King?
Well, this year we'll be holding it. It'll be virtual instead of in person. With the increased numbers of the pandemic. When we had this discussion, I was talking to Richard Neinstead, the other Richard in the world, and he said, you know, we can celebrate the King holiday any day we choose because the dream and the things that he stood for continue on. And I think that's so true, and I thank Richard for reminding me of that. I think so often we tend to put people into boxes and bring them out when we think there's a need to do so. But the King dream lives on, and I think more importantly today than ever when we look at what's happening in our country with civil rights and protests and the threat on democracy. So I think this is a good time to bring that back to attention. Again, as I said, it'll be virtual. I don't have the exact time yet. It'll be at Ottawa University. And we'll do the reading of the proclamation, and I thank you for that, and thank you for the city support. We've done this for about 35 years, and the city's always been a leader with us and working and making sure that happens. This year we're partnering with Ottawa University, who's going to provide some of the funding to cover some of the costs of the young people that we recognize. I think we had about 125 number of essays from 3 school districts in our area. Brock Siegel, the esports director at Ottawa University, will be the the key speakers. So we'll have the proclamation, reading the proclamation. We'll have the speaker as well as the reading of the essay winners.
Excellent. Thank you so much. We will make sure that there is an individual from the city there to help proclaim and to read this proclamation, but more importantly, to really support and lift up all the good work that is being done in the name of Dr. Martin Luther King. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you.
That moves us on to the next item on our agenda, which is
Update on Premier Auto Plaza Development Agreement, Tax Increment Financing Project.
I see that Tyler Ellsworth is here with us from Kutak Rock, and not in person. Sorry, our city manager just looked around thinking like, wow, Tyler's here. Nope, Tyler's here virtually, but we're certainly glad he's here. And Tyler's going to give us an update on what has been going on with this project. Tyler, Happy New Year. We're glad you're here.
Happy New Year to you all. It's good to be with you, Mayor and Commissioners. I do have a brief update on our Premier Auto development project. We had, as you all will recall, we had originally anticipated that this development agreement and the related proceedings for the TIF proceedings and for the industrial revenue bonds would all be wrapped up at your December 15th commission meeting. And we weren't quite ready in mid-December. And so we opened the public hearing on the TIF proceedings on December 15th and continued those to the Commission's January 19th meeting. We actually have not made quite as much progress as we'd hoped, as quickly as we'd hoped. So we're going to recommend and request that on the 19th, that hearing be continued once again to February 2nd. But we have had in the last 2 to 3 business days, the city's financial advisor for this deal, Bruce Kimmel with Ellers out of Minnesota, and I have had a series of, I think, productive discussions, both with city staff and with the developers team. And I would say that at this point, I'm cautiously optimistic that we should have the deal hammered out in the next week or so that we can hit that February 2nd commission meeting.
Okay, so thank you for the update on that. So it appears as though when we open that meeting on the 19th, that we will go ahead and continue it then for to be heard on the 2nd. Is that correct?
That's correct. And between now and then, I know that you have 2 study sessions, I believe January 24th and January 31st. The goal would be to come back to you with essentially the final docs and say, here's the deal that we're supportive of. We welcome any feedback from the commission, but we're ready to move forward if you all are.
We appreciate the update, and yes, we do have those 2 additional meetings, and I do anticipate that we will be looking for some guidance from you on where you're at on that project.
Very good.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Have a good one.
All right.
All right, that moves us on to item 3 on our agenda.
Consideration to set a public hearing on February 16th, 2022 at 10:15 a.m. for the purpose of receiving public comments and adoption of it by the governing body for amending the City of Ottawa floodplain management ordinance to be in compliance with the federal and state regulations.
It appears as though we have Jennifer Reiner, and I believe that our city manager is going to introduce her to us, and then Terry Elmer, who will be addressing this matter. City Manager Neistat.
Thank you, Mayor and City Commissioners. As you just said, we have Terry Elmer with us, who is the Interim Director of Community Development, and Jennifer Reinhardt, who is our zoning and planning consultant. And I thought this would be a good opportunity for her to introduce herself to you and explain to you what IBTS is.
Great. Jennifer, welcome to the Ottawa City Commission. Happy New Year. We are excited that you are here. Will you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yes, thank you. Nice to meet you all. Thank you for the invitation to come before this honorable body. I am with IBTS, Institute for Building Technology and Safety. We are a nonprofit. We are based in Washington, D.C. We partner with municipalities to help provide building department services, and we like to say we help fix or find solutions to problems. And just a bit of background about the company, we are served by a board of directors of the National League of Cities, the National Association of Counties, National Governors Association, Council of State Governments. So we are a nonprofit, and just to emphasize our partnership with governments for all the services that we provide. With that said, I am based in the Kansas City branch office, and we have a service agreement with the League of Kansas Municipalities that allows us to partner and provide planning services for their member communities. And that's what kind of brought us in partnership with the City of Ottawa to assist during this transition period.
Great, thank you so much. Thank you for the introduction, and we're glad that you're here. We have an Ottawan that actually works for National Association of Counties in DC. I know you're not there, but I always forget that we don't talk about him very often, so we're always excited when we have a conversation about that. So Terry, you are here in person, and Jennifer is virtual with us, but what would you like to tell us about this public hearing that you're asking for?
We would just like to request that we put this out for establishing a public hearing and meetings for this to move forward. I know it was kind of a little bit behind schedule on getting this forward, so we have a little bit of urgency to try to establish some time and dates to get this to move forward. We're up against a hard deadline for March 8th to get this approved, and also to keep us in the recommendations based on the FEMA standards for our safety. So this is why we would like to try to establish some dates and times to move this forward for a public hearing and meeting for this floodplain ordinance.
So was February 16th the first time we were legally allowed to hold that because of notice?
We're looking at, hopefully we could do February 14th as our first public hearing.
Nothing says love like floodplain management.
Well, I know.
He's not gonna agree.
Sorry, that was quick, right? I mean, come on.
Close to Valentine's Day, man.
So is it February 16th or February 14th?
Yeah.
Either one of them. We're hoping to get one of them on docket 14th or 16th.
Mayor
Do it on
Kaler,
Valentine's
Yes.
Day.
we do have to have a 20-day publication notice
Yes.
before public hearing.
Okay, so the hearing is going to be on February 16th.
It will be on February 16th
Okay.
at the second regular commission meeting that we have.
Okay, all right. Other things we need to know about setting this hearing?
If you have any other questions on that, then I would defer to Jennifer if she might answer those questions for you.
Jennifer, do you have a brief overview that you'd like to give us on this particular ordinance?
Yeah, just briefly, this is per FEMA's recent changes to the floodplain maps. This is the next step of amending the city's current regulations to abide by new state and federal regulations. So it's fairly straightforward. I think in the timeline proposed, we can have some good discussion about the changes and outline what what they will mean for the city. But really with the recommended timeline with that February 16th hearing is to meet that 20-day public notification so we can get public comment in prior, which is a requirement prior to the ordinance being passed. Hopefully, looking at that March 8th hard deadline date to comply with the FEMA program.
Will we be able to see any maps or anything, Terry, ahead of time?
Yes, we have some maps and other information we can bring forward with those sessions. We don't have anything with this today, but we can have within all that.
Soon, okay, thanks.
Commissioners, do you have additional questions for Mr. Elmer or for Ms., is it Reinhardt or is it Reinhardt?
It's Reinhardt, yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
want to make sure I get that right. Or Ms. Reinhardt regarding the consideration to set this public hearing. Is there a consensus to?
I guess is the hearing is for the public to weigh in on what the floodplain is destined to be. Is that it?
That's correct.
And then we are to certify or agree to the floodplain deal? We have that option, or is that just?
Well, we would still have the regular study sessions, but to also to establish the public hearing or the availability of public hearing for the public to have their availability to speak. You know, we need that 20-day notice so we can look at potentially get this active before March 8th.
Okay.
Additional questions? Is there a consensus to go ahead and set that public hearing for February 16th, 2022 at 10:15? All right, we shall do so. Thank you so much, Mr. Elmer. We appreciate it. Thank you, Jennifer. We appreciate you being here. She's already dropped off. She's so excited. She's probably doing a happy dance.
Yeah, she'll have to learn.
All right, that moves us on to the next item on our agenda.
Discussion of fire engine replacement.
There's not even additional information for me to have here, Chief. I mean, it's just discussion. We're going to have a discussion about replacing the one of our fire engines. Ms. Landis and Fire Chief Matthias are here to discuss our options and to discuss what we need to make sure that our community is safe.
That's correct. Madam Mayor, Commissioners, good afternoon. In your package, you had a memo from myself and Finance Director Landis on a possible replacement program, steps that we need to take to replace a fire engine. Real quick, go through the memo. Currently, our fleet is 3 pumpers and 1 aerial device. We do have smaller trucks, but those are our major equipment. Engine 3 is a 1996. Been a very good engine. It's been, as we know, through the years, it's been out of service for a few times. In the last 5 years, 109 days out of service. And that could be from tires to oil change to whatever. I tried to look up how many times it was put into service for another engine, but our reporting program doesn't go that route yet. So this has happened previous. This truck isn't any special than any other ones we've had, but recently we've had some trouble getting parts for it due to its age. So it is time to replace. I got five bullet points I wanna go over. So if we go, so here is what this is currently at, is in a reserve status. About 345 was in reserve status. Now it could be in front line, depending on if a truck went down from now until then. But right now it's in reserve status. It's a standard 1,500 gallon pump, 750 gallons we carry on board, 6-person cab. We like to fill that, but on a full truck for Ottawa is 4. Carries about a block and a half, 2 blocks of hose, and then all the equipment that we need to do our jobs. Next slide. So the current mileage on it is 84,000 some odd miles. Engine hours is what you see up there, and the pump hours is what you see. Now the pump hours is probably about 1,200. We had to replace the pump gauge on that one, so we started over on counting hours. But I want to give you a little tidbit on the engine hours. So you go and look at how many miles those hours have on that engine. We figured it was 357,240 miles is equivalent to 8,931 hours on that engine. So that's what the engine has on it as far as miles go. If we worked out a 40 mile per hour average. It doesn't have any airbags. One of few. That's probably our last one, actually. No rollover protection. No, they come out with a new seat belt design, and that does not have it in it. For ISO, we have to have a reserve engine. It's worth 5 points out of 50 points on our fire department side of the ISO. So we have to have a reserve engine. What will happen if this one's replaced? Our next oldest, which is engine 2, the 2001, will go into reserve status, fill the same role as this is. If one went down, then this one will come up into frontline status. The cost of this, you might want to know what the cost was in 1996. Was $226,697. Estimated rough cost for the new engine is somewhere in the $740,000 range. That's a 222% increase over 26 years. And that's average. That's across the board on emergency vehicles. Next slide, please. Do you have any questions for my portion of this?
Well, Tim, I would just ask too, I assume we can sell this truck, but many times we can't get much out of it, is that correct?
That's correct. The last engine we replaced, we were able to sell to a local rural fire department here in Franklin County for around $15,000. So it's a little bit something.
It's okay.
So
I wonder, Chief Matthias, can you send this document to us so that we have, I mean, I was trying to make notes too, and I noticed Commissioner Skidmore making notes too. I wonder if this is a document that you may not be able to send out to us, then we're not,
Sure,
you don't get
yeah.
anything wrong.
Yep, we sure can.
The same kind of a model, truck, engine, all of, plus all the safety equipment. It's the
Pardon
same.
me? I couldn't. hear
Commissioner, if you
I
could
was
get
just
closer to the
wondering if it was
microphone.
the same model, same company you're buying the truck from, or
Well,
suggesting?
we do have all Pierce at this time. It's like Ford Chevy. We're Pierce for everything, but that doesn't mean we're going to go out for Pierce. We are going to go out and look at a couple different manufacturers and just see what's out there. And Ms. Landis will go over how we do that. But yeah, it will be something new.
Pretty similar.
Yeah, similar.
And Tim, on the ISO number, would it improve if our reserve fire truck is a newer fire truck than what we have
Good
today?
question.
It will to some point, but the biggest points are if you have one.
That's, okay.
Now, we do take a hit on a reserve. We don't have a reserve aerial, and I don't expect us to. That's just too much money.
Yeah.
And so we do, it's 10 points on that, and so we just take that, so.
Okay, thanks.
Ms. Landis, what do you have to tell us about the pocketbook?
Sure, thanks. So, one of the exercises that we ran through when we started discussing this was, okay, we understand what the cost of this might look like. Where are we at with the other two lease payments that we have on the most recent purchases of fire trucks? And then we also took a look at, okay, well, we know that over time we're going to be replacing some of our other vehicles. So Chief and I put together a list of all of their vehicles and large equipment like the fire engines, and just tried to put together a 10-year, actually it extends further than that, but look at what that might look like financially, what that impact might look like. We do still have a couple of years left on payments on previous lease purchases for fire engines, but in talking about this is an important purchase, but also the lead time is extensive. So I think right now they're talking about a 17-month process just to build. So when we first brought this idea to you during the 22 budget conversation, we talked about what that might look like, the brief overview, because we didn't have a lot of details at that time. But right now we think that the amount is probably going to be somewhere around $740,000, $750,000, somewhere in that range. We know that the best option for us to pay for that would be with a 10-year lease purchase. Because of the long lead time, we'll likely go out and bid those lease purchase rates at the time that it's actually available to us, instead of mixing that piece all together with the other vehicles and equipment we talked about for this year. And the procurement process that Chief mentioned is we're anticipating that we might use the same process that we did a couple of years ago with the 2017 engine, and that was to use HGAC Buy, which is a group that's put together, and they provide bids on all types of vehicles and equipment, also stuff outside of a fire services department. But for this particularly, they're looking at all of the things the details that we would be looking at if we did a bid process, but probably a lot more thorough than what we could do. And also for a lot less time than we would have to invest to get all of those same bids. We do still have the other option of a traditional bid process, which we could go that route. Again, that's something that Chief knows most about. He'll be looking into what our best options are at that point. At this point, we wanted to make sure we brought to you the overview so that we could get some indication of where you want to go from here, and if you have additional questions. I want to talk real briefly about this graph that is in front of you. The one thing that I don't want it to do is scare us away from the numbers that are included. But instead, I'd like for us to look at this as a plan for replacement of the necessary vehicles and equipment that are needed for our fire services. And eventually, I'd love to have the same plan for all of our departments so that when we walk into a budget process at any year in the future, we'll know kind of what that set line is that we're trying to target, and we can form our strategy around trying to get to those numbers. So if you were to draw kind of an arbitrary dotted line across the middle of this, at some future point, we'll probably be targeting somewhere between a $200,000 to $300,000, probably in that middle range, the $250,000 financial impact annually, and then we can make adjustments by contributing cash for saving towards future vehicles and or the lease purchase options in the future to be able to meet that investment line. I think that's important for you to see that there are other vehicles outside of this that will need to be replaced in the future, and that it does have a financial impact overall. The other part of that is that we are already have a financial impact in each annual budget, and so what we're really only looking at is that small incremental difference between the years. And while it does look like over 24 and 25 that would start a spike, and eventually it'll bounce up and down, that's something that we can work out in our planning for our 24 and 25 budget, maybe looking ahead at moving some cash into equipment reserve to be able to offset some of that, those later purchases for the smaller priced vehicles and equipment. And then down below the graph, we did just provide an estimated mill levy impact. But again, in this far out, those are just numbers based on estimates. Those assessed valuations are just estimates based on maybe a 3.5% increase every year. So I don't want to put too much weight into that. The goal was just to let you know that we are in the planning phase and trying to make sure that this does work, that we do have a plan for fire services for their vehicle and equipment replacement, and that we will be able to come back to you with a better financial plan for each of our future budget conversations.
So I have a couple questions about, and either one of you can answer it. But to utilize the HGAC buy system, is that come at a fiscal cost to us to utilize that system?
It does not. How they make their money is on the vendor side. So
Okay.
if you're a vendor, fire truck vendor, you pay them to advertise for you. They do all the front work, loaded work, and they do the procurement. They do all the vetting of the process, and then you have the end product of, if you want to buy fire truck A, this is what it is. And there is some, I don't know exactly what the savings is, but there is some savings to the end user would be us.
And then I know that in the past when we had, was it 2017, did you say it was the last time we had went through this process? When we purchased the last fire department apparatus, we were able to utilize, was it a floor model or a demo model or something like that? Will that be something we will still be looking at? Certainly that'll be in the mix, is that correct?
Yes, so if we go to a true build-out, it's 17 months roughly. One vendor's 17, another is 13. So we're out a year, at least a year. Our hope is we can find a unit out there. The only issue with that is everybody else is looking for a demo because of the build-out time. So we're really having some difficulty finding a demo that would fit our needs. And I don't want to go with a demo if it's not going to meet 95% of our needs. We're going to have this truck for 20 years, and I just think but if we can find one, which we found in 2017, it's a great truck. I hope we can find another one. But there it is. they're limited.
Nothing's off the table.
Correct, yeah,
what you're telling me.
absolutely, yeah.
Well, I do think it's important. I think that, I don't know if you recall or not, but when we went through the budgets, through last year's budget, I remember noting that I was concerned that we would not have availability of actually fleet or being able to get our hands on automobiles, let alone fire trucks. And it seems like that has come to fruition, and I'm sad that it actually has. However, I do recognize that it is important to keep our fleet up to date.
I checked with one of the vendors today, and they're about, they have roughly 1,000 employees. They have about half out right now. So they say they've stockpiled some parts, but they don't have the people to, either they're sick or they don't have them. They're short-staffed, so that's also gonna be a big issue.
Was there a down payment that would be required of our budget? I'm trying to figure out where that would fit into our budget if we were to be able to find one, or we were able to actually go into the build process. Where does that fiscally hit us?
So if we carry over into 23, it's a 17-month build out, then we're hoping to carry that 87,000 over and double down, if you will, in 23. If not, it'll just come out. Currently we don't have any down payment on that. Our hope is with the plan and in further years, we will have some down payment, but currently we don't, so.
Other questions, commissioners?
I've got a question. I appreciate you putting this together. This is strictly for the fire department, is that correct, this one? Okay, so do we plan to do this with our other departments? Is this kind of a great idea to be able to look ahead and see how we're, okay.
Yes, and I might just add that we not only, this is just a summary overlook of where we think we might be in the future, but Chief is actually working on, and as will eventually all of our departments, will be working on a much more detailed vehicle replacement plan, so that and it'll include more details, like just because something is of a certain age or it's a certain number of years old does not necessarily mean it needs to be replaced this year or next year, but instead focus on those maintenance dollars and its usefulness and useful life, all of those criteria. So what we did put together for this is specific just to fire services, just to support the discussion about a fire engine purchase. This is a large purchase. It's something that we're going to have for 20 years. We wanted you to know that we are looking at this as a much bigger picture, not just a one-off item, but more to come on that as we move ahead and with future purchases as well.
Commissioners, do you have additional questions? Yes, sorry.
And
Fire
I
Chief.
might add, we keep saying the 20-year mark. NFPA, National Fire Protection Association, they recommend no trucks over 20 years of age. Recommendation. Now, with us, with our maintenance staff, they do a phenomenal job with our apparatus. So, a 10-year-old truck is very well maintained here, but you go to the city, the metro, a 10-year-old truck's got a lot more issues, a lot more calls underneath it. So, but we just don't pull a 20-year mark out of the air. It's a national standard that's used. And then there's a point system, and what Ms. Landis was talking about, there's a point system out there where you look at all the reliability and the service use out of these, and then come up with a point system, and that's how it's graded out. And so, I think we'll get there. It takes time. So.
Excellent.
Great.
Other questions that you may have for Chief Matthias or Ms. Landis?
I was, the price, just roughly using the rule of 72 is really only about a 4% increase per year. It's the number of years that makes the price so staggeringly more. In 25 years, it triples, but that's about a 4 or 5%. If I'm way off on my calculations, but that's kind of what you got.
Yeah, and you can almost.
Then you get a lot more options on the truck too, probably.
Yeah. You can almost bet every year is 3%. I mean, in my time, everything goes up in this service roughly 3% every year.
Yeah.
And then at some point, it's like, well, how can they continue to do that? But they do, and we continue to buy them. And what I might mention also is what we would like to discuss it today, of course, and then again on the 27th or 24th study session with a possible consideration on the 2nd. If doable, for a couple reasons. If the demos are out there, we'd like to get on them. The other thing is if we have to build, we might as well get going, so.
Additional questions for Chief Matthias or Ms. Landis? We look forward to a continued conversation on the 24th.
Yep, and if there's anything else you want to know, just let us know and we'll bring it forward.
All right. Anything?
Thank you.
All right, seeing nothing. All right, we will move forward. Thank you so much. That moves us on to the next item on our agenda, which is swearing in of the newly elected members of the governing body. We're not doing a whole bunch of changes up here. I think we're swearing in a few new members, but all the faces are going to stay the same, so yay for continuity. Ms. Reed?
Absolutely. Commissioner Kelly?
Want to do it right here?
Yep.
Okay.
Raise your right hand and just repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Eric Crowley,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of Commissioner of the City of Ottawa, Kansas.
and faithfully discharge the duties of Commissioner of the City of Ottawa, Kansas.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Perfect.
Thank
Right.
you.
Congratulations.
Welcome back.
Thank you.
Who's next?
What now?
You want to
It's
you.
you.
Want
Want to go together?
Okay.
Oh,
Commissioner
I think
Grace?
yours, Commissioner Skinner. I think you're up.
Do that.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Mike Skidmore,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of Commissioner
and faithfully discharge the duties as Commissioner
of the City of Ottawa, Kansas. So help me God.
of the City of Ottawa, Kansas, so help me God.
Congratulations. All right. Commissioner Graves.
I state your name.
I, Emily Graves,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of Commissioner of the City of Ottawa, Kansas.
and faithfully discharge the duties of City Commissioner of Ottawa, Kansas.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Well, now everybody has been sworn in, and we are excited for that. Want to give you just a few comments before I'm going to make the nomination for mayor here in just a minute, and I'm excited to do that. Last year at this time, I wore the same exact necklace that I'm wearing today, and it really couldn't be more fitting than it was last year at this time when I was talking when Commissioner Wiegand had just stepped down as mayor. But my necklace says, she stood in the storm, and when the storm did not blow her way, she adjusted her sails. You know, I think a year later, 2 years later, we're still adjusting our sails. We must always, always, always adjust to meet the needs of our citizens. We honor the past by adjusting our sails. We honor the present by adjusting our sails, and we honor the future of our community by adjusting our sails. When COVID is over, we must still continue to adjust our sails. You know, when I set out as a commissioner over a decade ago, and I can't even hardly believe that because I think I was like 6 or 7 when that happened, both my parents were here in the audience, and they're not here today, and I really wish they were. But I did bring a piece of them. Well, I brought a picture of them to be with us today because they aren't able to be here. And I want to honor the path that they set me on years ago, taking me to vote with them, taking me to the courthouse to watch election results come in. I honor them. You know, my daughters, I have 2 of them. One was deep in the rigors of first grade when I took on as a commissioner. It's tough being a first grader. And one was in preschool, wasn't even in school. In fact, I have the sweetest picture that somebody had sent me that they were sitting in the front row with their iPads taking pictures. We don't even know where those iPads are today. Today, one of them moved back to college, and the other one is at practice at OHS, and neither one of them is able to be here today. But the one thing I do know is that then and now, we still must adjust. We have to continue to adjust. We are going to continue to adjust with our next mayor, and we will do so very well. Thank you for giving me the honor to serve as your mayor of the city of Ottawa, not once, but 4 times. I appreciate every single day I have had that opportunity, and it is a blessing, truly has been. I look forward to seeing what the amazing work that we can do on behalf of the citizens here in Ottawa. I think we're all going to do good things moving the city of Ottawa forward, and I'm excited to see that happen. So saying that, I'm going to make the motion to nominate Eric Crowley as the mayor for 2022-2023 term. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations. You get sworn out again. Yeah, it's all right. Hold on. This is how it works.
All right, raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Eric Crowley,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of mayor
and faithfully discharge the duties of mayor
of the City of Ottawa, Kansas,
of the City of Ottawa, Kansas.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I know it's odd.
I know you're taking a chair.
Yeah, I am taking my chair. Yes, note that I'm taking the chair.
You don't actually get the chair.
No, you don't. Look, and we have to do this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I
Guess
know.
we were
It's all-
told
we're
about
all
that
learning.
too.
You should have come
My
to
can my
rehearsal.
parents stay here?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good. And you get this.
Oh, that too. Yeah. Are we done?
Not quite.
All right.
Close though.
Thank you, everybody. I really hate following Sarah, Commissioner Kaler, after her great speeches, because I'm gonna fumble through this, and probably you guys are gonna lose track of what I'm even talking about, but we'll get through it, I guess. About a month or so ago, I kind of got the inkling that this might be the position that I fill. So I've been laying in bed late at night thinking about what I was gonna say. I've went through probably 13, 14 speeches at this point, and none of them made the cut. So I guess I'm just going to wing it. I certainly want to start, quite honestly, by thinking, well, let me step back. About 5 years ago, when I was on the city's website paying my utility bill, I certainly didn't think this was the position I was going to be at in 5 years after filling out the application to be a commissioner. So that being said, I certainly want to thank the commission at that time that took a chance on me. Some of you are up here, some of you are hopefully listening. I guess I've done an acceptable job, or you wouldn't have put me in this position today. I certainly want to thank the commission today for your the respect that you've given me to choose me to be in this position. It's nerve-wracking. Certainly, Sarah says 4 times. Sorry, I keep calling you Sarah. Commissioner
you
Kaler says 4 times. This is my first, so I'm going to fumble through some stuff, but I promise you, I've got great people to lean on. That's going to certainly help me through this. Certainly, first and foremost, want to thank my campaign manager last year. My mom probably pounded the pavement last year and got me reelected to put me in this position. So thank you, and Mom, I love you. My kid's here. My other kid probably didn't want to leave her iPad, and my wife's at work. But thank you all. Once again, I know what have I got myself into, but we'll get through it. And then to the public, for sure, the public. Once again, thank you for the trust that you've put in me by electing me twice now, putting me in this position. And I may get in trouble for saying this, but if you see me out, talk to me. I mean, I'm all about hearing what you have to say. We're doing this as a team. This is a team here, not just as commissioners, but the public, everybody here. Say something. I mean, certainly, let's hear the concerns that you have, but don't be afraid to also tell us the good jobs that the staff and everybody else that works here for the city of Ottawa is doing. It's a wonderful town to live in and raise your family in. I appreciate the fact that 45 years ago, roughly, my parents brought me here and never took me away from here. And I hope that my kids certainly feel the same way in a few years. So, all that being said, once again, I appreciate the position here, and hopefully we'll have a great year coming up. And as I always say, let's get to work. So, that moving on, we will go to, I guess we're going to I guess we're going to present Mayor Kaler with her plaque. Her fourth plaque. Do you even have room for these anymore?
I will,
You'll
yes,
find a
thank
place.
you.
All right. The plaque reads, "In appreciation, Sarah Kaler for her service as mayor, January 2021 to January 2022."
Thank you. Thanks.
You want to say anything?
Nope.
I mean,
No, I already said my stuff, man.
Okay.
This was your stuff. Now you get to run the meeting and we get to
All right.
sit back and go, oh, here he
yeah, what's
goes.
this guy talking about? All right, moving on to the next one. Let's go with City Commission reorganization, nominations for Mayor Pro Tem for 2022-2023 term. And I would certainly like to make the nomination to appoint Commissioner Skidmore as our Mayor Pro Tem.
And I will second that.
All right, any discussion? Anybody? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? All right. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem
I
Skidmore.
can do that. Thanks. I guess I can do this again, huh?
Do that again.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name,
I, Mike Skidmore,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will faithfully support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and the Constitution of the State of Kansas,
and faithfully discharge the duties of Mayor Pro Tem
faithfully discharge the duties of Mayor Pro Tem
of the City of Ottawa, Kansas.
of the City of Ottawa, Kansas.
So help me God.
So help me God. Got it.
Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Thank
Mike.
you. Good, good.
Comments?
Oh, just
Yeah.
briefly, I'm speechless now. I wasn't prepared for this. I think about Ottawa, I think about what we've done. I look back at what the past we've done, and I was trying to think, going for the future, more of the same would really be a good thing. I think we've accomplished a lot of things here in our community, and we're not gonna rest on that. I believe in measured growth and not exponential growth, and I think that's the best way to approach things. And so I'm looking forward to serving with this panel up here, everybody up here. We've kind of got a diverse group up here. I feel like there's a lot of differences in us. At the same time, we have a great respect for one another. I think about all the different hairstyles. Everybody's got different hairstyles. I've got parted, unparted, and departed. Sorry, Tom.
I was out of love.
Withdraw my vote.
But we get along well. I just think it gets down to a respect for one another. That's the most important. And I'm looking forward to working with Mayor Crowley, and I think we got great things going for us next year. So thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore. I've tried to challenge myself to be as delightful as you are with your jokes. I think I'm going to fail miserably this year. That being said, comments by the city manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners. Congratulations to all of you. I have always appreciated, especially on the local government level, how the transition is peaceful, right? Peaceful election, peaceful transition of power. None of you are drawing six guns on each other when you vote to see who's going to lead this community. And I have always felt that local government, you are the last bastion of true democracy in this country. And it's what holds our communities together. So thank you for what you do every day. And thank you for serving this community. And Mayor, the staff is eager to work with you like we have with every mayor that's gone before you. It is a good community, as you said. Ottawa is a great community. And we are on the cusp of so many things, and we will get there with all of your leadership. So thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to serve you and serve this community.
Thank you. They always say that you should be careful what you wish for, though, so staff, be careful, what you wish for. So, reports by city commissioners, Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore.
I have no report.
Thank you. Commissioner Graves.
I would just like to congratulate Mayor Crowley and Mayor Pro Tem Skidmore, and I look forward to learning from you guys.
Thank you. Commissioner Wygon.
I have no report, but I would kind of echo Commissioner Graves. Sarah did a wonderful job of mayorship last year, and I'm looking forward to your year coming forward. We got a lot of stuff to do and a lot of things on our plate to make decisions about, so congratulations.
Thank you. Commissioner Kaler.
Yes, thank you so much. I actually do have a couple things, and I do want to thank you all. It's such an honor to serve with you all. And I hope that, and I did not talk to Mayor Crowley about this before I did this, but our commission, our city, we lost a really great humanitarian this weekend. And somebody who I think we are all used to seeing on Main Street, somebody who is a fixture of our community. And I can't remember a time in my life when Luther wasn't on Main Street. And I'm sad that he will not be returning back to Main Street. I have reached out to our city manager and have suggested to him that we may need to, we do need to look at a way to honor the optimism that Luther brought to our community. Now, he didn't always meet us in our best space, but he always came with a smile and always came with love in his heart and unselfishly loved this community. And we are, we're a sadder community without Luther. And I'm sorry to see him go. Very sorry to see him go. So I hope that next time that you think that, life isn't going so well or that, things aren't going your way, maybe you should just ask, what would Luther do? How would Luther approach this? And he would probably approach it with a smile on his face. And he would approach it with love in his heart. And I hope that you do that moving forward. So honoring Luther and the loss that we have in our community because he has passed on. So that ends my report.
Thank you. Well said. I'm sorry, report by the mayor. I too, I know that was something that was mentioned over the weekend, of his passing, and it says a lot about, what Luther meant to our community when you look at how many likes were on the posts, and certainly how many times it was sent down and distributed, obviously on social media. So it certainly meant a lot. Luther certainly meant a lot to our community. I grew up a block away from Luther, yeah. So I've known him for, once again, all my life. He's going to be sorely missed in the city of Ottawa. So I don't have any other report since I've talked enough today with all the other stuff. So we'll move on to the announcements. January 10th, we have a reception for outgoing mayor today, Sarah Kaler, immediately following today's study session. The 17th of January, Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. City offices will be closed, and we will have our study session will be canceled. And then the 19th of January, we'll have our regular meeting here at 10 a.m. at City Hall. Is there anything else we need to discuss? If not, I will adjourn.